I'm glad to see so many media leaders from different Arab and Asian countries gathered here today to discuss an issue as important as press freedom. And this is a continuing subject of debate here in the Netherlands and Europe, as it is in the Arab and Asian world. News is everywhere and more widely available than ever before. It has become a commodity whose sale and distribution can generate substantial profits. Today's multimedia information society provides any number of new trends and virtual platforms, such as the blogosphere, YouTube, or Wikipedia, to mention only a few. More traditional communication media, newspapers, television, and radio, are no longer the main sources of news. So the rapid public availability of facts, images, and sound through the internet and mobile phone networks is having a far-reaching impact on fact-finding, reporting, and new analysis. And within this new framework of information gathering, I think journalists have no choice but to become information brokers and interpreters rather than sticking to their more traditional role as messengers with a monopoly on news supply. Your value today lies in producing order from the abundance of information and images in our society. In my view, the quality of journalism in a given country reflects the extent and effectiveness of its democracy. Daily newspapers emerged in the 19th century because active citizens wanted to make their voices heard and express their ideas. A free press is a pillar of a democratic society. People need to be well informed to cast their votes wisely and responsibly. Journalism is the bearer of a democratic debate in which citizens have a fundamental right to be informed and participate. Only then we can speak of informed citizenship and participatory democracy, which are essential aspects of today's society. Media diversity is key to a healthy, balanced public debate. A healthy democracy depends on its citizens whose ideas should be reflected by pluralist media. Policies should not be sold to the public by government-controlled media. Sometimes politicians think it might be easy, but it will be the end of democracy if we get such a society. Because if that happens, the messenger is determining the content of the message. Ladies and gentlemen, Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. And this right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. So the Dutch government strongly defends freedom of expression, including press freedom and freedom of access to information as a fundamental human right. It's also central to the protection of other human rights, because freedom of expression allows people to demand other human rights, such as justice, equality before the law, and freedom of religion or belief. Without freedom of expression, these other freedoms cannot be properly exercised. Moreover, freedom of expression makes electoral democracy meaningful, builds public trust in government, and strengthens mechanisms for holding governments accountable. So we go to great lengths to defend freedom of expression, even when it's used to express views that are controversial. However, freedom of expression is not a license to insult other people at will. It carries with it a responsibility to consider the consequences of one's words as explicitly stated in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So I would like to stress that tradition, culture, or religion may never be used to justify undermining, still less violating, human rights, including freedom of expression, but nor may the right to freedom of religion or belief be eroded, meaning not only the freedom to profess one's beliefs, but also the obligation to respect the religious or philosophical convictions of others. A decline in the freedom of press is a warning sign that restrictions on other freedoms may soon follow. Conversely, an increase in press freedom is a catalyst for the advancement of other human rights. For example, to improve the human rights situation in a country, it's crucial that human rights defenders be able to speak their minds freely. Unfortunately, global press freedom suffered a clear decline in 2007, as Freedom House showed in its most recent survey. The decline continues a 6-year negative trend. Journalists are struggling to work in increasingly hostile environments in almost every region in the world. And one trend that has restricted media freedom is the adoption of laws that are used to punish critical journalists. I know that some of your colleagues have been arrested because they had the courage to report on issues in ways that displeased your governments. I know actually that people who are present here face prosecution due to their publishment. So I'm glad that a training program investing in the future is helping to increase journalists' legal awareness and their knowledge of international human rights standards with regard to media legislation, freedom of expression, and legal safeguards. Fortunately, the Freedom House report showed some improvement in the region with the least press freedom, the Middle East and North Africa. So a growing number of journalists in this region are willing to challenge government restrictions and to push the boundaries. Egyptian journalists in particular showed an increased willingness to cross red lines, thus moving their country from Freedom House not free category to its partly free category. And it's not due to government, but due to the activities of the journalists that they are now in the partly free category. So I applaud you all for your courage and commitment in difficult circumstances. For you, journalism is not merely a career, it's a mission. A mission to pursue the truth, to break taboos, to reflect the world in which we live. Last but certainly not least, it's a mission to work for a freer world in which everyone is entitled to express his or her thoughts and ideas. And as a strong supporter of this mission, I encourage you to keep the debate on journalism and press freedom alive. Thank you very much indeed.